Hey guys, welcome to this episode of the Unemployables. Today we're sitting down with Johnny Noble. He's a good friend of mine. He owns Noble Body Cosmetic Company. They do all kinds of face oils, body oils, stuff like that. He's working on a new company coming out in a couple of weeks, and he is very, very good at business ownership and stuff like that. So that's what we talk about today, and everything that goes into manufacturing your own product. So let's get into it.
Become unemployable.
Welcome to this episode of the Unemployables podcast. Today we're joined by a good friend of mine, Johnny Noble. Him and I talk pretty much weekly about what it's like owning a company that has kind of a recurring revenue stream. So Johnny, why don't you fill everyone in on what you do?
Hi, I'm Johnny, and I started a company called Noble Body. I'm sure a lot of people have heard about it by now. And it's gone pretty well. It's obviously harrowing. It's a lot of work. It's a very definite building process. But I feel like I'm fully sentient at this point. It's like the viability of a baby. And I feel like it's there, and now I'm working on taking it to the next levels with manufacturing and formal fulfillment to not get it out of my hands. I'll be completely involved, but to take over a lot of the things that I have to get help for and things like that. So I'm in that critical growth phase right now that it is just a lot of work and maybe a little bit of uncertainty, but actually when you get over that hump in this business, I could see it coming already. It's where you've truly arrived. So it's been a really, really busy summer, but it's I could see it coming together with returning customer rate, demand,
Sure.
all the metrics we look to see how you're doing. And so that's all gone pretty well. As we talked about tangentially, I also started another company this summer. So that's been kind of crazy. And they're totally related. Like it's an oil-based product. So it's right in my wheelhouse as far as formulation and all that. So it's been a very exciting stretch since we last spoke.
Yeah. So your your flagship product is your men's face oil, correct?
Yeah, correct. I would call it a couple things now, or a few things. It's my men's face oil. I sell quite a bit of women's face oil, although I don't promote it as much. But I have influencers and affiliates and fans that do a lot of that for me. You've seen a lot of them on Twitter. And then the other one now that I'm really excited about. Oh, I launched another product 2 weeks ago.
That body oil, man.
The body oil, yeah. And I've been working on that for a while. So that is it's a critical product because face oil goes on your face, but the body oil gets the rest of you. And there's a lot more skin, I mean, your skin doesn't stop at your face. So
I got really sunburnt yesterday. I was rock climbing wearing a tank top like this. That's why I'm wearing one today, because I'm all fucking burnt on my back. But I put it on last night, and it actually really, really helped for a sunburn.
Yeah, there's a lot of great healing botanicals and oils in there. It really is a great formula. And no bullshit, I worked on that for 2 years. I tested and formulated for 2 years until I was happy with it. And then it finally got to that point where it was just like hitting on all cylinders. And because I was just giving it away to people and girls and friends, guys, everybody, and getting really great feedback. I was sending sample bottles to some of my customers that were buying other products. So I got feedback from lots of people all over the country. And it's a really great formula. And it allows me to do a lot because then you could do the cross-sell and upsell thing. Somebody buys a face oil, then, they're certainly going to be interested in a body oil. And I already noticed that happening because I launched and I already sold out of it. So, it's a good sign. So now it's got to just kind of crank up the marketing and the direct response emails to my customer list and do more promotion on social media. But yeah, that's been pretty exciting. That's a product that I can really get some mileage out of. So
Definitely.
to answer your question, it's basically the face oils and the body oil now. I do sell quite a bit of scrub too, but I don't even promote that much.
Dude,
Yeah,
I will tell you now, you should promote that scrub because when my wife was sick and in the hospital, you know, you had sent her a gift.
Yeah.
And that coffee sea salt scrub. And thank you for being considerate in that, by the way.
Oh, you're welcome. Yeah, no problem.
She fell in love with that sea salt scrub.
Yeah, it's actually cane sugar. I don't do salts right now.
Okay, sugar scrub. That's it.
Yeah,
I have a sea salt scrub coming out, so that's why I'm on
I
confused on that. But no, that sugar scrub was something that she just went nuts for. It was fantastic.
that's a pretty typical reaction, and it really
Like,
is.
She says that
dude, you sound so much like my business partner.
The ladies love me. It's just typical.
You know, it is what it is. People
He's
love
so
it.
Adam, my business partner, he's my roaster, and he's so ungodly confident in his company. And like, just like you just said, like when he gets a review like that, where someone will send me a text or something or a DM on Twitter and be like, yo, I tried your coffee and it's absolutely amazing. Like, best coffee I've had in years. I'll just screenshot it and send it to him, and he'll just be like,
yeah, I know.
No shit.
yeah, I know. And I'm like, dude, take the fucking compliment.
Yeah. When I was developing that, I was just exclusively testing it on girls, and I'd hear a lot of guys like, hey, yeah, I snuck some of that sugar scrub. And I only did three. I did 3 fragrances, and I worked really hard on those fragrances because, you know, I knew how important they were. And when I started to see some of the reactions and some of the comments from these women, man, it was just like, oh my God, like so, you know, blatantly sexual and, you know, all this shit. It was like, I knew the formulas were done when I was getting feedback like that. And that, that chocolate coffee one is actually my favorite one because it was the hardest one to get it right.
Yeah, that's the one you sent my wife, and that's incredible.
Yeah, there's like 5 different components in there. I'm going to promote it more. I'm going to figure out some creative ways to do it, especially coming up on the holidays. I'm actually stocking up and getting ready for the Black Friday and probably sell a bunch then. But you know, the real prize for this company, I think for me right now are the face oils and the body oil. And I've actually thought about trimming my product roster down a little bit and just focus on those and focus on this other company for now, and then take it from there as far as, you know, new products, additional ideas and that, because I do have a lot of them. It's just implementation is a long way from an idea, as you know, Jeff, with products like this.
Absolutely. You know, my wife still got the face oil, and I still use the beard oil when I'm just thinking, you know, wanting a little bit of something different. And I did not directly take from your formula because I have a beard oil coming out. I just want to go ahead and put that disclaimer on there since you're a former lawyer, and I don't want to be sued.
I wouldn't sue you anyway, and I would view it as a compliment because it's tricky to formulate those things. There's a lot on the market that aren't that good, frankly.
Yeah. How many carrier oils are in yours?
Man, there has to be 12 to 15.
Okay. Yeah, because I've got about 13 in mine.
Yeah, that sounds about right. And then the essential oil blend is, I think, 11.
Yeah.
There's a couple esters in there too. I know I use caprylic capric triglycerides, and I use C12-15 alkyl benzoate, I think. I don't have it right in front of me, but it's like 12 to 15.
I love the fact that no one else knows what we're talking about right now.
Well, I'm laughing. I looked down my screen and saw Dan's face like, cool.
How the hell do you remember that word?
Well, when you live with it every single day, and I literally have it on my counter here somewhere.
He's just got it written in huge letters above his screen, and he just looks up and says it. And
Yeah.
Well,
And I also love the fact that you've taken the moniker that I imbued upon you, the Walter White of skincare.
yeah, in my header.
Yeah, it's in your header now, and I love that.
that's
I
funny.
thought it was hilarious. It's quite a compliment, even though I'm being compared to, a guy that manufactures blue crack.
But he did it for his family, okay?
He did
Yeah.
it for he did it for his family.
Why
and
don't
it
you
was-
start
and it was-
murdering people?
Yeah, and it was
Okay.
top shelf. It was top shelf.
Yeah, the first time we find a barrel of decomposed body parts and acid in your house, then we'll worry.
He
Yeah.
does live in the desert,
Yeah.
so
That's what I'm saying.
Here you go.
Oh no!
That's terrifying.
Oh, there's a lily of the valley plant out in the back too.
Oh my God. Yeah, that's pretty funny. Yeah, I thought that was pretty hilarious, and it actually feels like that some days. In formulation and testing, because I did all that myself to get these formulas, and that's really what I wanted to do. I wanted to create it myself. I didn't want to do some sort of white label situation, or I wanted to be connected with it, and that turned out to be both a blessing and a curse. Mostly a blessing to have the understanding of what I was actually working with, and that's, I think, how I got to this point where I'm feeling the success now of arriving, because I truly understand the compounds, and the only way you could do that is with diving in and actually viscerally working with them every day. And I'll tell you what, I'll be happy to pass it all off to a manufacturer, but I'm glad I did it that way.
Yeah, that's really cool. I think you're doing the really, really heavy lifting up front because you know that it matters in the long run.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people, especially these days with people on Twitter who want to start a business, they're like, oh, what drop shipping business can I take over? Or what product from China can I buy for $2 and sell for 50? And just do it real quick, but they have no understanding of how it's made or how it's getting to them. All they care about is turning a profit as fast as possible. So I appreciate you taking the long route, because it's benefited me. I actually use face oil. I've had crazy dry skin on my face most of my life, and I've tried every lotion possible. A ton of them burn my skin when I put them on. It feels terrible. Like, I always have dandruff essentially in my beard and stuff. And I started using yours, and it is basically gone away.
Well, that's a real compliment, and you just hit right on it about why that is the absolute nexus of how and why I started this company, because I was dealing with the exact same thing body-wide with severely dry skin and eczema and rashing and irritation, and I tried everything, and then I started to study it and figure out, why isn't this stuff working? And then I started to better understand what was in a lotion and what they really do, if anything. Most of them don't do anything.
Yeah.
And that's why I've been railing on lotions lately, because people think, oh, I'll just put my lotion on, and most lotions don't do shit, and most of them suck, and most of them contain harmful ingredients like parabens and all kinds of horrible shit, and alcohols, which dry your skin further. Water evaporates and dries your skin further. So it's really kind of another level of scam. And then as I started to study what really would work for me, it kept coming back to natural oils and essential oils. Natural oils are often called carrier oils because they carry essential oils as fragrance or whatever. And as I started to study the different lipid profiles and triglycerides of these different compounds and other things that they contain that are beneficial for your skin, it made perfect sense to me because of the striking parallels between true nutrition as food for your body and what you put on your body. And then that's kind of when I got started on sugar scrubs years ago. And even that sugar scrub oil formula is really super duper high quality. And a lot of women tell me, oh yeah, I use it and I don't even need any sort of a moisturizer when I'm done. So that's kind of how it all started. And then as I got to know the oils better and what they did and how they felt and how fast they absorb, whether it's light, medium, heavy, etc., and then other beneficial compounds that they contain, then it really started to take off for me in my level of understanding about which ones I wanted to use in a particular formula and why. And I'll tell you what, body-wide, my skin has never been better in my entire life than these last few years when I use these products every single day. And it's been a pretty fascinating experience just from that standpoint alone, about finally coming full circle and having an understanding of something that really helped me, and now it can help a whole bunch of people too. So it really has been pretty amazing, but I truly appreciate the compliment too. I mean, that's why I did it.
I'm just glad to have people not asking me if I've been snorting cocaine in the bathroom because I have so much dandruff in my beard. That are telling me I have food on my face and like it's dry skin. You dick. Thank you for
Yeah.
the 6th time.
Yeah.
So you were talking about the nutrition parallel from what you put on your body to what you put in your body. You know, your skin absorbs, what is it, 75, 80% of anything that comes in contact with.
Most certainly, yeah.
And, you know, I went that same route with Rugged Legacy. All of my products are 100% all natural. You know, there's probably one chemical that's maybe in the pomade, and it's still food grade. You could eat it. What brought you to that, as far as when you made that determination of everything that I'm creating in these products should be as nutritional for the skin as something that you would put in your body?
Yeah, that's a great point. When I started doing it with a prior company, and I posted something on this on Twitter yesterday because I'm not embarrassed about it anymore, but I did start another company called Scrub Junkies. I think I mentioned it before. And it was geared around body scrubs because that's where I was going to start. And I had some great formulas with both salt and sugar scrubs. And I thought, my primary objective with the formulas is to make them as natural as possible. So the fragrances were all natural oils and essential oils, and the oil formulas were, you know, a really high quality blend of different oils that I thought would be perfect for that kind of moisturizing in a shower bath situation, like, you know, pure virgin coconut oil, apricot kernel, kukui nut oil, and a few other ones. And then I realized, as I started studying other compounds and other products, and researching other products on the market for the face for women and men, there's some pretty high quality face oil products on the market at that time. There weren't a lot. And I started to look at the ingredients, and I realized for virtually every synthetic ingredient in some of these different formulas, there's now a natural version, whether it's an antimicrobial, antibacterial, or whether it's an ingredient to make it feel or absorb differently. And, you know, I just started to study it. And then I hit this point where I had this epiphany where I wanted to make these formulas absolutely as natural as I could. In other words, completely natural, completely beneficial. Every ingredient in there does something, and it does something positive.
All of it is.
It's all intentional. Yeah. And when I realized, I found one of my suppliers years ago. It's called Formulator Sample Shop. They supply to smaller niche players if you're not ready to graduate to the Lancome size. So you can get basically the same very high quality cosmetic ready ingredients, and they interface directly with the manufacturers. So, you know, for the material data sheets and all that that you need when you go to a manufacturer, I realized, oh, there's a preservative on the market that's extracted from elderberries, and that's where I get it. It's called phytoside elderberry. It's an antimicrobial, it's an antibacterial, and it's good for your skin. It actually has great skin benefits. So when I started to realize things like that, then I started to incorporate as many of these types of compounds as I could into the formulas because of how just absolutely great they are. And we're not talking, you know, a one and done use or use it for a week and you're done. I'm talking about over time, you'll see dramatic improvements in the health of your skin just because you're taking care of it a lot better because you've never done it before. Most people have never done it before, now, especially
I never had.
men. Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
me too.
And that's why you almost take pride in how fucked up your skin is.
Well, yeah, and that's, you know, when you think about it, it's kind of stupid because
it is totally stupid.
At some point, you're going to wake up and say, shit, I look older. I remember that happening to me when I was I've always had pretty good genetics. I've taken good care of myself, but I remember being late 30s, early 40s, right around the time I started having my kids. I looked in the mirror, I was like, I look older, like that. And, you know, now I had somebody give me a shout out the other day on Twitter. He said, your face oil took 10 years off my face. And he's in his 60s. I'm not going to mention his name, but just loves it. Like, in it, you know, this stuff actually works. I obviously catch a lot of shit from people. Oh, it's your snake oil or whatever, which I don't give a shit about any of that because I know in my heart that this stuff is actually good for people. And that's kind of a core premise of the company, to answer your question about the natural products and, you know, is it good? Is it neutral? Is it bad? Type of an analysis. And I'm driven by that because I know it's great. And I use the same exact product every single day. I use that men's face oil 3 times a day. And, you know, there's no better endorsement than that from an owner of a company that you use it every day yourself. So that's kind of how it all started. And that's kind of where it's continuing. And I was super happy with that body oil, by the way, because I was using an ingredient that's really popular in the cosmetics industry. It's in fucking everything. It's called cyclopentasiloxane. It's a form of silicone that's volatile, so it actually slowly evaporates away. It's actually still in the beard oil in a smaller percentage because it worked so great for that application. But I had it in the body oil too for a while because it's just the best ingredient for this type of a product, for the feel on your skin, the absorption rate, the after feel, everything. Well, when I was finalizing that formula, I was doing some research on some silicone alternatives because I wanted to try to get it out of there. And I found an ingredient that is extracted from olives, and it mirrors the effect of the cyclopentasiloxane silicone. So I was able to pull that out and put in a completely natural alternative that comes from olives. I was pretty happy about that.
That's awesome.
That was a good day in formulation land. It's a really great ingredient. And another thing that's happening in the industry that I'm finding is that a lot of these suppliers to the cosmetics industry are getting really creative with extracting natural compounds from, you know, different plants and botanicals and fruits and things like that. So there's a lot of things on the market now that formulators, companies like me can work with to make your formulas better. And that's been an eye-opening process in itself. And now I'm always looking for, you know, can I use this, or will this work with what I'm doing, kind of a mentality. So it's all pretty fascinating to me, obviously.
Dude, if we let you talk about that for like 3 hours, and I don't blame you at all.
I could talk to you about that for like 7 fucking years at this point.
Done your research, man.
Yeah.
So I've heard it said that there's like 3 real types of business owners. There's the entrepreneur type, there's the manager type, and then there's the technician type. And you seem to be the technician type. Like, you know your product so well, you've done it for so long, you've dived so deep into it, you understand it at a level most people can only hope to understand their product at. And I know just from talking to you a lot that like a big kind of obstacle you've had to get through is like keeping enough product manufactured to keep up with your sales, because like your sales just crushing because your product is so damn good. What I know you've been talking to a new manufacturer for that. What does that look like? What is that process of handing off something you care so much about to someone else? Like, what's that look like? What's that feel like?
It feels daunting at first because it's such a big step. And, when you start talking about, okay, I make 5 liters of X, which is 5 liters of face oil is 166 1-ounce units. So now to start talking to a manufacturer and you're talking in terms of, well, our smallest size is 5 gallons and that's way more expensive. You're better off doing like 10 gallons. It feels a little bit daunting, but at the same time, it is the natural progression of where you're at to get it to the next level. And not only that, but basically they take your formula, and the company that I met with yesterday, the way they do it is they take your formula, you input it. In fact, the guy sent me a spreadsheet last night. I have to input my entire formula into a spreadsheet for them, with all of the manufacturers of the raw ingredients, send it to them, and then the cosmetic suppliers will send all of the ingredients there, and their formulator batches it and logs it, tests it. So it makes perfect sense where I'm at in the process. It's just going to be getting through that transition, and of course the money issues that are associated with it. But as I thought about it yesterday, and as I kind of wrestled with some of the issues like you just said, I realized that it's perfectly natural and it's exactly where I should be. Um, it's just going to take a little bit to ensure quality control, and I have really good faith in the company that I met with. Like, very professional, large operation, not huge, but they're doing big cosmetic company work. And they have all the machinery and they have all the training and they have chemists on staff and everything you would need. And what that does too is that gets me over hurdles like, challenge testing for Amazon and all kinds of things. So it's a natural progression. It's going to take some work. This other company I spoke of, I decided we're going to do that one first with manufacturing. That'll be like my dry run, because that formula is a little more simple than the like say a face oil formula. So it's very interesting. It's a little daunting, but it's exactly where I should be.
I mean, you've faced down 25 years of litigation, standing in
Yeah.
the courtroom as a lawyer, which I think it's really interesting. You said, you know what, I'm making really good money as a lawyer. I'm going to make cosmetics. It's a great transition.
It's fucked up is what it is. I guess a lot of what I did prepared me, that skill set prepared me for what I'm doing now. Basic things like work ethic. I did construction litigation, so I was dealing with extremely complex issues many times, all the way through trial, having to cross-examine engineers and expert witnesses. So, that technical ability is something I draw on all the time. The natural curiosity to do different things all the time, because as a litigator, one day I'd be working on some sort of crazy concrete case. Like, I've done Air Force runway concrete cases, and then another day maybe it's medical gas piping in a hospital with some issues. So there's a great diversity of topics and issues that you have to face and understand. So that obviously helped a lot. The craziest part to me about it was, now that I look back on it, was that basically quitting practicing law, almost cold turkey, and just diving into this and not stopping. It almost feels a little crazy to me now as I look back on it. I'm glad I made it this far, but it looks a little crazy, especially at that point in my life. I was already in my early 50s when I started all this. I'm in great shape. I have really high energy. I take really good care of myself. So all those are great positives, but it still feels like I should be fat and soft and complacent playing golf and talking about, why the Cardinals are going to suck so bad this year instead of churning out companies now. It feels, but when I really assess that and where I'm at with that, this is the way I want to live. I don't want to be lazy and complacent and soft and stop. I want to keep going. And that was another realization I came to just in the last year and a half is this is where I belong. And it feels right. And I have the energy for it. I have the enthusiasm, and I'm just going to keep going now.
Yeah, might as well.
Might as well, because I don't have a choice. Because I'm unemployable as an attorney.
As they say.
What was the
Yeah.
specific catalyst that kind of took you from being an attorney to doing this?
Well, I was a partner in a firm, and I was getting kind of burned out on it. I just felt like I was a hired gun that got paid to fight over large sums of money is what it felt like. And I had this realization. I had a really great result in a construction case. I had a 2-week trial. I got like $1 million verdict. It was right at $1 million. And, I was a hero in the firm for a day. That's what it felt like. And I was cleaning up all the files and kind of pushing them off my desk for getting put away. And then I just reached behind me and I grabbed another file, and I had this crazy moment where it was just like, is that it? Like, is that really it? Is that the high point? And then it was kind of all downhill from there. I still, did well, functioned well, but I realized that I was not going to be happy doing this for the rest of my life. And around that time, I went through a divorce. I quit practicing law at that firm. I tried it again in another firm, and I realized I'm miserable doing this, and I'm not going to do it anymore. And I just walked away from it. And that was sometime in late 2014. And then I started working really, really hard on these concepts and these types of products. The name Noble Body, I came up with that in March of 2016. So that's kind of how long it took. And then I didn't actually launch that company online until December of 2017.
Wow.
So that's how long it took to get that understanding of what I was doing and having a comfort level with it. And then, of course, all of the branding and packaging and formulas and testing and everything. So it was not an easy process, but now that I've arrived to this point where I am, and launching another product like that body oil, it's like I feel super confident in it because of the level of understanding that went before it. But that's kind of a thumbnail sketch about how I got there. I was just burned out, and
Yeah,
sure.
I wasn't going to sit there and just suffer doing something that I did not feel anymore. I just didn't feel anything from it. And then when I started doing this, I realized I want to create something. I want to create some sort of a legacy. I want to create something for my boys. I want to create a great company that does great things. And I just kept those core principles in mind. And then I just kept going forward because it obviously wasn't easy. I mean, anybody that's done anything like this, like Jeff, knows that it could be pretty rough. So,
Hard. Actually, you said something really important there. When you were talking about that case and you won the $1 million and all of that, and then you went to your desk and you're just pushing the files off, and you had that moment where you're like, is that it? And that's something I think that everyone who's striving for more or who has ever accomplished a big goal has experienced. Because I know I've experienced that, where like you have a goal that's just like all consuming, or at least mostly consuming. And it's like your main focus, right, is to, whatever it is, get a big like get a big sale for your company, win a big verdict. Maybe it's even something as simple as trying to bench 3 plates, right? And you focus on that goal for so long, and then you hit it, and all of a sudden you don't have a goal anymore. And you just have this like void where you're like, well, what the fuck's next? Like, is this really worth it? Right? Where you start questioning the next goal, right? And you got to like find that one.
Yeah. And that was a while ago.
Mm-hmm.
That
you found one, right?
Well, yeah, I did. And it, you know, and one of the words that I use in some of my branding, it's actually on the front page of the website, is embrace your evolution. Like this is not only an evolution of a company. This has been a personal evolution for me.
Oh, absolutely.
To completely change from what I was into something completely different. I'm a completely different person from those years when I was practicing law and putting a suit on every day. And I mean in a better way. I mean more focused, more centered. I feel like I'm a better person on every level. And it really has been quite a transition, because when that trial ended, it was actually way back in 2009. And it was grueling. I worked on that case for like 2 years. And then, you know, I get a great result. And there was like this kind of petty jealousy with some of my partners, because it was the biggest verdict the firm had ever seen or had ever had to, you know, in a trial. And it all just felt great to me personally, because it was such a hard fought case. You know, and it took so long and so much effort. It took so much out of me. And then I just felt like it was just all downhill from there. And I even remember that particular summer, I was drinking too much, and I felt like I wasn't working out enough. And I just felt, I don't know, there was some sort of emptiness. It was like, is this it? Like, is this what I'm going to do for the rest of my life until I die at my desk, like so many attorneys do?
Mm-hmm.
And it started really churning in my mind to figure out a way to get away from it. And it was a rough transition. And, you know, the funny thing is I had some great results in other cases after that. You know, and I was doing well, but it was just like, I don't want to do it anymore. It's the weirdest feeling, because it's on one hand, it's like the pinnacle of a career. And then it feels like something is missing. Something's over. Something's lacking.
You feel like you peaked.
Yeah, I felt like I peaked. That's exactly it. And the only thing I did wrong was I hung in there too long. I hung in there for at that firm alone, another 3 years after that. So, but it's not easy when you're married and you have kids and, you know, obligations and all that. But it's definitely an interesting study for me to look back on it now that I'm in a completely different world, which that's what this is. It's
man.
A completely different world.
I was actually in a conversation earlier today talking to a guy about the growth of the company over the past year, my company, I mean. And honestly, most of the growth, like, a company's grown for sure, but most of the growth has been internal. It's been like the company's growth has reflected my own personal change, right? And I'm sure you feel the exact same way. The way you talk about it implies you do, where it's like the first year especially, but I'd say probably the first couple of years, it's more about just like changing your mindset, changing your attitude, like becoming better so that you can do your job better. Because it's one thing when you go to work at 8 and leave at 5 and you can just turn it on for a couple hours. But when you've got equity and your livelihood relies on what you can kill, right, or what you sell, then it's like, it becomes all consuming. It becomes like, all right, if I sleep better, I can do a better job, which isn't like I can do a better job to make my boss happy. It's I can do a better job tomorrow to make more sales or to make a better product or whatever it is. And it's like everything you do lines up: your diet, your sleep, your exercise, your focus, like your energy levels, all of it all of a sudden matters. And that's a recoil when you quit when you quit your day job and you put yourself in a situation where everything matters, like your body, like, or your mind, like you recoil from that. You freak the fuck out for a little bit. At least I did. And then once you start like handling it and growing into it, you start realizing this is so much better. It makes you feel so much more like alive. right?
That's a good way to put it. You feel so much more alive because you're so much more engaged and in touch with what you're doing. You know, in
Exactly.
your case, it's a coffee company. In my case, it's, oils and skincare and, cosmetic products. And it's a complete shift in your mindset. And it's a pretty amazing transition too, if you're present and absorbing it and enjoying it.
Yeah.
Like I take, and I've said this to a number of people when we're hanging out, having a drink, or in a podcast, is, in a business like yours and a business like mine, every single package matters. It's somebody put their faith in you to buy your product based on maybe what their friend said or some influencer or some email. And you have to take that very, very seriously, because that is a seed that potentially grows into a tree that supports your company. And I mean, I take and that's another difficulty with moving up into a higher level is, I'm concerned about the losing some of the personality of the company and having it feel more clinical, or, oh, it's just another product now. And I'm trying to figure out some ways around that, because, a lot of my customers give me compliments. I got one the other day. Guy said, "You don't feel like every other brand. You feel like you're really engaged with all of your customers." And I am. And it's been one of my goals during this building phase of building a really solid, loyal foundation of people that truly enjoy the products, and they're going to stay on board for a while, maybe for the life of the company. I mean, that's the goal. And if you keep performing and fulfilling your promise to a customer, they're going to keep coming back. And it's super duper important. And it's a totally different mindset from going in a law firm and billing hours on a particular case and then going home. I mean, there's no comparison whatsoever. It's incredible.
What is it that compels you forward and kind of gets you out of bed in the morning to keep not only hacking away on Noble Body, but making it better every day?
Yeah, I mean, it just ties in with my initial goals when I started this. Was I wanted to create an international brand, and that people recognize. And you keep getting in front of enough people, it's naturally going to happen, whether it happens, fast, slow, medium speed, whatever it is. But in order to keep growing, you have to keep your customers happy. I mean, if you're having 50% complaints, you're dead. I mean, every company gets complaints. In my case, it's about, or I want a refund, or I'm not happy, whatever. Everybody's not going to like everything.
Right.
To me, it's like 0.3% at this point. So what gets me out of bed is, first of all, the workload is insane right now because of another company.
To get out of bed. That's what gets
I
you
have to get out. I was out of bed at 6 o'clock this morning, and I didn't go to bed until midnight. But it's just an excitement for what I'm doing, and every day is kind of a new adventure right now. As far as new customers, I have a new product out there now. I'm doing some new marketing. I'm working on a completely separate project. So it's a combination of having to get it done and get it done properly, in conjunction with the fulfilling the vision of watching a company that I started from nothing grow into something greater. And it's highly motivating, and everything matters too. I mean, every formula matters, every batch matters, every package matters. And it's just really exciting, man. I mean, it's not hard for me to get out of bed now. Truly, I hop out of bed.
What's something that you know now that you wish you had known when you started Noble Body and started working on it?
Like, don't do stupid fucking shit, and don't. Okay,
I'll quote you on that.
here's one of them is you know, as I launch products now, I go razor thin on inventory because, like, I know let's take the body oil for instance. I think I have one left. Yeah, I have one left. It's reserved for somebody. Okay, this product here, this body oil. I worked on it for 2 years. I tested it extensively. I was very confident in it because I was using it myself. A lot of people told me, hey, it's great, it's done, don't mess with it anymore, on and on. And then you get to the point of, okay, now it's go time. You know, you have your packaging, you have your label, you're working on your box. I think back in the day, I would be like, okay, I need 1,000 of them. It's like, no, you don't, man. You need 100 of them. Like, you know, that's one thing. And then, it's I can get things done so much faster, like with this other company. Like I told you guys when we were talking before, from first discussion concept to actual launch was only 3 months. I mean, I couldn't even imagine doing that back when I started Noble Body. But I think I had to go through all of this progression and understanding to be able to do that in the first place. So, you know, I'd like to say do things quicker, do things faster, make your mistakes faster, fail faster, I guess is the logic. You know, and don't just keep spending money on things you think you should spend money on. I did a bunch of that. Oh, I need this slick brochure. Let me spend $1,000 on it and then never use it. I mean, just dumb things like that. I'm a lot better about what I focus time and money and effort on now versus 3 years ago, even, because a lot of your concepts might not work and you don't know that until you actually get it out there and test it. So those are some of the worst mistakes I've made, in addition to starting a company and then scrapping it. I mean, that was kind of a huge mistake. But once again, starting Scrub Junkies and then scrapping it took a lot of time, money, and effort. But I don't know if I'd be here if I didn't go through that process in the first place. And it's painful to make those mistakes. I mean, you feel like a dumbass, but you know, at least you're out there doing it and trying and testing, and then staying with it. I mean, that's the most important thing. And I'm still staying with it. I see a lot of people giving up, man. You know, a lot of people, I'm not mentioning any names, but you see them start something and then it just kind of fades away. And then you see them start something else and then it just kind of fades away. It's like, if you're going to have success at something, almost anything that requires this sort of effort, you have to jump in and then just stay with it and keep going. There's no stopping. And, you know, if it's not working, it's not working. But if you're having some success, you just have to keep building on it. And that's kind of where I'm at right now. And this next jump is kind of critical as far as manufacturing and scaling up to the next level. I've been working for this moment for 4 years, man. So it's pretty amazing stuff, but it's also a little bit unsettling at times.
I'm sure.
It's like looking off a cliff again. It's that next
Yeah.
step. It's always scary to make.
Oh yeah, man.
Nick,
Yeah.
you want to ask your question?
Yeah, so I always like to ask this. If there was one thing you could leave everybody with, one kind of philosophical thing or thing you've learned in the past couple of years, what would that be?
Oh man, I don't know. There's so much. I think what I've discovered about this process in myself is that you're a lot deeper than you think you are, and you have a lot more potential than you think you do. And the only way to find that out is by testing it. And I've learned that about myself throughout my life, playing sports, hunting and wilderness survival type things that really push you mentally and physically, is you have a lot more than you think you do. But you have to push yourself. You have to feel the pain within yourself to be able to advance to the next level where that type of pain no longer bothers you. I used to get really, really stressed out over, oh my God, I can't pay this bill this week. And now it's like, I can't pay that bill this week. I'll pay it whenever. I mean, I'll go make more money and I'll pay it. I mean, because it's something that you can't change. You're working to change it, but is your stress going to add anything positive to it? No, it's actually going to be the opposite.
And make
So
it worse.
my philosophy in this process has been, and this has been a growth for me, as painful as this is at times, as far as time, money, your finances, your efforts that don't come up to the level where you think you want them to, or they should. It's all a test, and you have to just keep pushing these issues aside and turning forward. And you find out a lot about yourself. And it's starting a company like you're doing, like I'm doing, is an awakening or an evolution of yourself. And if you're focused on the right things with the right mindset and the right attitude, and with kindness and not just greed and stupidity, you're probably going to succeed pretty wildly if you have all of those tools in place. But you just have to keep going, and you have to find out, what you're made of, or you'll walk off the path long before you're supposed to. And that's the last thing I would leave you with on that statement is, I started on a path and I still haven't gotten off it. And I don't plan to anytime soon.
I love that. Just pick something and just don't ever fucking stop.
Yeah. And think about it. Think about it over time. People that have remarkable success in something, whether it's, a great artist or a builder or a contractor or an athlete. I mean, you start and you don't stop. And every day is a learning process where you make yourself better. And if you just have that philosophy, like you guys are intrigued by all the ingredient stuff. That was one of my things. It was like every day I wanted to learn more. And how I can just rattle off those cosmetic ingredient names is because I've lived with them for years. And I still do every single day. It's fascinating to me. And it's one of the things that drives me to make products better and make better products and other products. I mean, it truly is. It's truly turned into a passion of mine that I never even knew I had. So take that for what it's worth too.
I love it.
Definitely.
Johnny, where can people find you online?
Noble Body is at noble-body.com, and there's products there for men and women. Men's face oil is what you should look at if you're a man. Women's, and check out the new body oil. There's nothing on the market like it. There's other body oils, but I would match this one up against any body oil on the market on earth right now. It's the best one.
Best damn thing I've ever used for my skin. That's for sure.
So there. Well, thanks, Nick. I appreciate that, man. It was 2 years in the making.
And it shows. It's a very good product.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate your time.
Yeah, you're welcome, guys. Anytime. And soon we'll be able to talk about another company too. I'll show you guys that whole thing and how we did it and what we did and why. And it's a pretty good story.
I'm excited to come out with that. For those listening, Johnny's doing a new thing. It's going to be very awesome. So stay tuned to his Twitter and Instagram for when that goes live.
Yeah, and it's very similar to what I'm already doing, so it'll make perfect sense. But we could talk to you guys about the ins and outs of all the company issues and trademarking and all kinds of things like that. 30, 45 days out.
Right on. So
right, man.
Before we cut out, if you want to find the podcast, you can find us at YouTube. That's the best way to watch it with the video. You can also listen to it on iTunes. And we have an exclusive membership group where you can talk to guys like Johnny one-on-one in a Q&A setting, as well as me, Dan, and Jeff, and everyone else in the group. That's at the unemployables.co/membership to learn more. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Johnny, thank you for coming on, man. Always good to talk.
Thank you for having me, guys. Yeah, great talking to you too. And I think Jeff left, but love you guys, man. Keep killing it out there, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Sounds good.
Take care, man.
Become unemployable.